Gbenga and Bayo were best of friends since they were toddlers. They really loved each other and always shared everything together, to the extent of having the same profession. They were both hunters. Together they hunted for animals for years, and it became clear to the villagers that wherever you find Gbenga, you will surely find Bayo, and vice versa. The two friends went to supply bushmeat to a very wealthy man known as Chief Akomolafe one day, and they were received warmly by the chief's daughter, Abeke. Abeke served them food and palm wine and started chatting with Bayo. "You look so handsome," Abeke said to Bayo. "You are extremely beautiful, my lady," Bayo replied. They both started giggling and staring at each other with so much love and interest. After that day, the relationship flourished, and a few months later, Bayo got married to Abeke. Because Abeke came from a wealthy home, Bayo also became very rich and lacked nothing. A year after his marriage, his wife Abeke gave birth to two bouncing baby boys. It was from one good news to another for Bayo. About a year later, Gbenga, who was his childhood friend, also fell in love with Bisola, the orange seller. They got married not too long after, but had no children. Bayo, on the other hand, welcomed another set of twins again with his wife. Gbenga and his wife Bisola prayed and prayed, but they remained childless. One day, Bayo, who felt pity for his friend's situation, decided to take Gbenga and his wife to a popular fertility herbalist who was famous for helping families have children in their village. On getting there, the money required for local testing and herbs was too expensive for Gbenga to afford, but his kind friend Bayo paid for it all. Gbenga and his wife got tested and given some herbal drinks to take home. They were asked to return in 2 days for the results of the tests. Gbenga and his wife went to the herbalist after 2 days and were both told that Gbenga is the source of their childlessness. He has what is known as low sperm counts in the modern world. This condition means he won't be able to impregnate a woman easily. "Why me?" Gbenga cried. His wife Bisola pacified him and they left the herbalist's hut. A week later, Gbenga's mother came to visit them. Bisola was so glad to see her mother-in-law, and as she rushed to meet her and help her with her luggage, a loud slap landed across her cheek. "He-goat!" Gbenga's mother shouted. Bisola fell on the ground, weeping and devastated. "Mama, I am not God. I also want children," Bisola said while crying. "You are just useless. I am sure your womb can only carry stones. Very soon, I will bring a new wife for my son." And like this, she continued to insult and humiliate Bisola. Throughout all this, Bisola could have easily revealed that her husband is the cause of their childlessness, but she chested all the insults and blames from her mother-in-law. She didn't want to expose her husband. Gbenga returned in the evening, and his mother continued the insults on Bisola, while telling her son she has found him a very beautiful and fertile wife who will bear him many children instead of the empty barrel he calls wife. "Mama, that is enough. I won't let you disrespect my wife in my presence. As soon as the sun rises tomorrow, please return to your husband's house," Gbenga angrily said to his mother. "She has charmed my son," his mother began shouting. It was hell for Bisola anywhere she turned to. Even the villagers mocked her for not having a child. 5 years into their marriage, still they had no child. One day, Bisola was returning from the market, carrying so much load. A young boy came to help her with some of the things she was carrying. The boy's mother saw him and rushed out to pull the boy away from helping Bisola. "If you need a child to assist you, why don't you give birth to one?" the woman said. Hot tears began to drop from Bisola's eyes. One midnight, Gbenga woke his wife. he wanted to discuss something with her. "What is it, my husband?" Bisola asked him. "I need you to do something for me," Gbenga replied. "What do you need? You know I will do anything for you," Bisola confidently said, and in tears he continued. "I want you to have an affair with another man so you can get pregnant." "May the gods forbid! Why would you think of such?" she angrily said. Gbenga proceeded to persuade her. He said it would be a secret between them and no one would know about it. Bisola was so disgusted. She said she wouldn't involve herself in anything relating to fornication. She also added that when it was time, the gods would give them children. Gbenga argued that time wasn't on their side anymore, and according to the herbalist, his low sperm counts would make having children very difficult. He also added that he was tired of hearing everyone blaming Bisola for something that isn't her fault. "Doing this would take away all our shame," Gbenga cried. Bisola angrily left him in the room that night. Ever since then, Gbenga stopped eating at home. He stopped talking to his wife for over 2 weeks, and when Bisola got tired of his cold shoulder, she decided to do what he wanted. "Okay, Gbenga, if it will make you happy, I will do as you wish," Bisola told him one morning. He was overjoyed and he hugged her tight while saying, thank you, my wife." But Bisola asked a question. "What if the man I do this with comes back to ask for his child?" Gbenga didn't know what to say. After some time, he finally replied, "I think we need to look for a man that we trust, someone with upright character." And for days, they thought about who they could trust to help them out. But Gbenga later informed Bisola he thinks his friend Bayo would be perfect for this. "Ha! Your friend Bayo?" Bisola said, disgusted by the thought of it alone. Gbenga claimed Bayo is like his brother, and he is sure he would be perfect for this. He also added, after all, Bayo's wife gave birth to twins 3 times in 6 years. Bisola agreed, and Gbenga promised to speak to Bayo later that week. 3 days later, Gbenga tabled this before a confused-looking Bayo. Bayo instantly rejected, but Gbenga didn't want to take no for an answer. He also threatened to commit suicide if he doesn't help him impregnate his wife. "Please, sleep with my wife. It is only you I trust," Gbenga said in tears. After days of back and forth, Bayo finally agreed to help his friend. Gbenga excused them while his friend Bayo and his wife Bisola did what had to be done. 2 weeks later, Bisola was confirmed pregnant. Gbenga was very happy about this news, and when her belly began to grow, it became the talk of the village. After 9 months, she gave birth to a bouncing baby boy. The baby was later named Olayemi. But things took a sour turn after Olayemi clocked 2 years. Gbenga began to beat the 2-year-old boy at any given and ungiven opportunity, down to beating the boy for not eating fast enough. Bisola always tried to plead with Gbenga by reminding him Olayemi is still too young to be treated that way. But Gbenga would always say, "Are you trying to say he is not my son? Or I don't know what is good for my son anymore?" Bisola is always quick to retreat whenever Gbenga gaslights her this way. As the child grew, Gbenga's hatred for the boy also grew. The year Olayemi clocked 7, Gbenga hit him for playing ball without wearing slippers. He even stepped up wickedly by putting pepper in the young boy's nostrils. Bisola did nothing about this. She was totally helpless. Olayemi's body was filled with various skin marks from his father. As his mother was applying ointment to his wounds one day, Olayemi used the opportunity to ask her if Gbenga was truly his father. Bisola was terrified by this question, but she hid it quickly and said, "Why would you think of such a thing? He's your father. He corrects you because he loves you." Olayemi looked so confused as to why his own father treats him this way. Days turned to weeks, and weeks to months, Olayemi, now 19 years of age, wanted to start an Ankara fabric business. He begged his father for some money, but he refused to give it to him. His mother promised to try her best to get him the money in 3 months. So he just had to be patient. The following week, Gbenga's best friend Bayo came to visit them with his wife Abeke. Bisola prepared food for them and Gbenga asked Olayemi to go get some drinks for their visitors. He returned with the drinks, placed them on the table and left to bring some cups. As he got to the sitting room, one of the cups dropped and broke on the floor. "See this imbecile of a boy," Gbenga shouted in front of the visitors. He immediately gave Olayemi a slap, kicked him and hit his head on the wall. Bisola started crying. Even Abeke, Bayo's wife, screamed, "Gbenga, please stop!" But he refused and continued to kick Olayemi. Bayo froze. He didn't know how to interfere. Abeke begged him to stop his friend. And as he tried to pull Gbenga from Olayemi, Gbenga shouted, "He is my son, isn't he? You have no right to tell me when to stop beating my own son." Bayo and his wife Abeke left angrily that evening. When they got home, Abeke asked Bayo why he couldn't talk some senses into his best friend Gbenga and stop him from abusing his son every time. Bayo cautioned his wife not to interfere in Gbenga's family matters any longer. "It is not our business," he added. The next day, Abeke went back to see Bisola and Olayemi when she knew her husband wouldn't be around. She went with fruits and various healing medicines. She advised Bisola to take the boy away from the house and maybe send him to her relatives. "Gbenga will kill me if I try such a thing," Bisola fearfully said. Olayemi, who was listening to the conversation, also agreed with what Abeke had proposed. He begged his mother to let him leave, but she refused. Olayemi looked frustrated. He narrated how his father refused to give him money to start his trade and how he feels very useless and idle. Hearing this, Abeke asked him how much he needed for the Ankara fabric business and immediately gave him the money with some extra change. He thanked her and Abeke left. Later that evening, Gbenga saw Olayemi as he was talking to a man who sold Ankara in the village. He immediately knew that for Olayemi to be speaking to that man, he already had some money and might be preparing to start a business. So, he rushed to the boy's room and searched everywhere. 5 minutes into the search, Gbenga found some money under Olayemi's bed. Money that looked enough to start a business. He immediately started a fire in the front yard and started burning the money one after the other. Olayemi saw the fire and raced to the house. He saw his father burning money and ran to check where he kept the money Abeke gave him. It was nowhere to be found. "I am finished," he screamed. He returned to the fireplace and started begging his father to stop burning the money. Gbenga pushed him away and continued laughing wickedly. Olayemi cried his eyes out as he watched his father burn the money helplessly. Bisola returned from the market and saw her broken son. Olayemi narrated what happened and instantly told his mom he would be running away from home. He had had enough of his father's wickedness. Bisola begged him not to leave. She promised to get him another money. Together, they went to sleep. Late in the night, Olayemi packed some of his belongings and left the house. He headed to Abeke and Bayo's home. In the morning, Gbenga went to wake Olayemi to cut the growing grasses in the compound, but he was nowhere to be found. He looked everywhere for him to no avail. "Bisola, where is your stupid son?" he asked. Bisola, who was busy cooking, was surprised to hear this, and before she could utter a word, he started beating and kicking her, insisting she must know Olayemi's whereabouts. But Bisola was clueless. She kept on crying and telling Gbenga she had no idea where their son might be. Olayemi, on the other hand, got to Abeke and Bayo's house safely.